we're not talking about warfare, we're not talking about physics, and we're not talking about large primates. We are talking about Guerrilla Gravity. Hello bicycle friends, thank you for joining me. If you haven't figured it out, we're going to be taking a look at a bike from Guerrilla Gravity today and kind of talking about their company in general. What we have in these boxes is a trail pistol, and we'll get to that shortly. If you have never heard of Guerrilla Gravity up until this point, you're in for a treat. So the gist of it right off the top is they are based out of Denver, Colorado. They are about 9 years old. And they started in a garage. When I say they're based in Colorado, I don't mean they're just an office and they're ordering catalog frames from Taiwan. No, they have been building frames in Colorado since they started. They started out with aluminum frames in their own machine shop and fabrication. That's right, they make them right on site. And now they're even offering, and they are solely making carbon fiber mainframe bikes using their own proprietary method. That's right, you heard me. USA made carbon fiber frames in Colorado. This bike was ordered for a customer here at Iron City Bikes. Like we mentioned before, is the Trail Pistol. And whenever you order one of their bikes, it's going to arrive like this, semi-assembled. You're going to have the frame and some of the other components in the larger box. And in the more squarish box is your wheel set. So, let's cut these open, let's take a look. Alright, looks like we actually have a couple components here. We got some grips, there's the chain, and the t-shirt. Handlebar. And yeah, the rest of the box contains the wheel set. Not every other manufacturer does this. Sometimes you have to put everything together. This comes with a cassette, rotors, and I don't know if you can hear the fluid. These are already set up tubeless. All you have to do is bolt them on. The wheel set for this build is a Stans Arc Mark III SRAM drivetrain with Maxxis Recon tires, front and back, 2.4. Now, a lot of other manufacturers won't offer their wheels completely set up, tubeless, and ready to go for you. And that's because those bikes may be built sitting on a shipping pallet, coming overseas, or who knows for how long they're sitting in the box before you get them. Guerrilla Gravity bikes are not even assembled, the parts aren't picked out, nothing's put together until you order it. There is a little bit of a lead time, but you're getting exactly what you want the day you order it. No sooner, no later. It's kind of a big reveal to me because I don't know exactly how much assembly I'm going to have just yet. And this is the first time I'm ever going to get to see one of these frames up close like this. So I'm kind of excited. I hope you are. This pretty much comes almost completely assembled. Other than the wheels and the bars, there's not really much for me to do. But let's get it on a stand. Now let's talk about exactly what this frame is and why it is the way it is. Well, all I've actually done at this point has been remove the packaging from the frame package. As you can see, the fork, stem, headset, cranks, rear shock, brakes, everything's already pre-installed. You can order these yourself to get delivered right to your house, or to pick up in Denver if you live close enough. Or I always recommend taking it right to a shop. This was ordered through the bike shop, through Iron City Bikes. It was sent here so we can go over it, make sure every nut and bolt is gone over just to be sure. If you aren't completely confident in your skills, I highly suggest you either have a shop order it for you, or once you order it, you take it to a shop. With the options that they have available, it still might be best to go to a shop and go over all the different parts that you may or may not know the differences between. they will. Let them help you. That's what they're there for. I'm going to go ahead and get all the parts put on this and get this built up as much as we can. And then we're going to dive in and I'm going to show you some of the details about this bike that all Guerrilla Gravity bikes have. And it's pretty interesting stuff. Guerrilla Gravity Trail Pistol in the Rally Build Kit, size 2. Now, some of those details might not make sense to you, but we're going to go over to the website, we're going to take a look on the computer, and I'm going to explain what exactly size 2 and what a Rally Build Kit is. Before we get to that, I want to go over a couple details that are specific to Guerrilla Gravity frames, and these have the same options or pretty close to similar options across every single bike they make. Now, let's zoom in more. We can go over these one by one. Starting at the back of the bike, you'll see that every modern Guerrilla Gravity frame uses aluminum rear end. Seat stay, chain stay, and the Freedom Link are all machined, welded, and powder coated in-house. On each individual model in the Guerrilla Gravity lineup, except I believe for the Nirvana, they're all going to have two options regards to how you want to set your rear suspension up. And trail models like the Trail Pistol here, you have crush and plush, meaning more supportive so you can crush the trail, better efficiency. You can switch this link, set it to plush, changes the leverage ratio and where the progression rate is, and just gives you better bottom out but a softer off the top feel for more DH enduro style riding. Let's take a close up and look at this, how this works. Now that we're zoomed in, you can see what I mean here by the flip chip. Literally spells it out for you. Plush and crush. If you need to change the modes, you can do this on the side of the trail, before or after the ride, whenever, with one single bolt. This should only take you about 20 to 30 seconds to set it up. Which one's going to work better for you? You'll have to find out. This all depends on your body weight, what you're riding that day, and how you want the bike to behave. You'll probably need to experiment with it. On the forums and some people that I talked to that are already Guerrilla Gravity owners, I found that about 30% of people who own these bikes routinely change between the two modes depending on where they're riding, and the rest of them usually just find one that works with them, kind of leaves the bike alone. Well, that's up to you to decide once you get one, but it's nice to have the option. Now, on some other models, instead of calling it plush and crush, they call it trail and gravity. Kind of the same thing, except on those models, it also changes the overall travel of the bike between 5 and 10 millimeters, depending on which model it is. You have two more options that Guerrilla Gravity gives you to really dial in the frame to fit your needs and what you want to do with it. One of them is right up here in the headset. And once I pull this out, you have adjustable cockpit length right up here on the frame. And once you get the handlebar and the stem off, it's completely toolless, so you don't need anything extra or anything special. This pulls right out, and you can see that it's an offset hole that you can set in either the short mode or the long mode. And this will help adjust the cockpit, the overall reach of the bike, the overall wheelbase of the bike, kind of help tune in the attitude and the fit for you. All right. Let me put the front end back together. And then I want to talk about the main frame and what's going on there. Now for the main component that is specific to all current Guerrilla Gravity models. The revved carbon modular front triangle. Now, what's exactly different about this? So currently, most carbon fiber bikes that you know of are made with hundreds of pieces of carbon fiber cloth laid over each other, put into a mold, heated, pressed together. The revved carbon manufacturing process, which currently is specific to Guerrilla Gravity bikes and is only used elsewhere in the aerospace industry. Their method, instead of using a carbon fiber weave like you're used to, think of it more as like a spider wrapping up its prey. Think of just a long continuous fiber being wrapped around, multi-directional, so that way they can put it exactly where they want it to be. They can strengthen where they need it, make it lighter. The production time has been decreased. The curing time, because of the special thermoset polymer they use, it's down to like a half hour, which I think is kind of unheard of. I think most other frames are like 2 to 3 hour, maybe up to 4 hour curing times. So they're down to a half hour curing time. The Rev Carbon, because of their thermoset epoxy, extremely durable. It's supposed to have the impact resistance similar to metal, but with the weight of carbon. I haven't got to try that out yet. They do have a couple cool videos online that they've made and some other people have done testing out the frames, hitting them with stuff. One of the things you'll notice is their frames are not painted. These are powder coated. Again, that has to do with the special thermoset epoxy they have. Has a much higher temperature rating to it, which allows them to powder coat, not paint them. A lot of other carbon fiber frames, they can only be painted and kept at low temperatures. Pretty much every bike made these days has some kind of internal routing, be it just brake cables, the dropper post, or however else they do it. Now, as nice as it is to have internal routing, because you don't have the external cables collecting mud, getting dirty, slapping around, it also comes with the pain in the ass part of if you have to set the bike up running the cables internal, especially if one of the little leads that came from the factory were already broken or got pulled through. One of the nice touches that Guerrilla Gravity here did to kind of do away with some of the headache is they made a semi-internal routing. Meaning in the carbon fiber revved front triangle, they molded in this channel so that way you can run the cables along it and then bolt this cover over to it. That way the cables are out of the way, they're protected from getting snagged on everything, but you don't actually have to try to pull a tug line and get the cables and the hoses through and re-bleed the brakes. Everything's externally mounted, so you don't have to take anything apart to get it together. I got the external cable routing cover back on. It is easier than running a full internal routing system, but it's not the easiest thing either. So it does take a little manual dexterity, kind of getting everything lined up underneath it to get the bolts in. And one other detail that it doesn't really affect the performance, but some people might just not like, you still have to route the dropper post housing on the left side of the frame. Usually these are routed so they exit on the right side and wrap around to the left side bar. This runs up the left side of the frame, comes out, kind of has a little bit of an odd curve to it where it mounts onto the bar at. Again, not a make or break scenario. A little bit of an aesthetic, kind of looks a little strange, but I like having that external channel there instead of having to run it inside the frame, so we're going to deal with it. We talked about the rear of the bike, what it's made of, and how to change one of the options there. We talked about the front of the bike, how it's made, and how to change one of the options there. Now, as far as the sizing and the spec of the build, we're going to have to jump on the computer. Let's take a look at their website and show you what some of the options are there. Okay, when you first get onto Guerrilla Gravity's website, you'll see it look just like this. They have all the bikes listed, all the accessories they sell, some tech articles. So let's go down to the Trail Pistol page. This is the bike we built today. Trail Pistol, 29-inch, 120 millimeter of rear travel. And you can see here we have race, rally, and ride, or just the frame, and you can choose the different colors. Now, for rider height, choose your style of how you ride, whether you just be a general mountain biker or very aggressive. And it gives you a recommendation on the frame size. You'll see that for 5'10" all around, puts you on a size 2, where full throttle would be on a size 3, meaning you're just in between sizes and you do not have to stick with what they say, it is just a recommendation. You'll also notice that they don't use the typical small, medium, large, extra large like other brands. They use these frame sizes because of their adjustable geometry with the headset and however the bikes are set up, regular sizing doesn't work for them. Now, if you want to change things around, and you don't like the regular options between ride, rally, and race, you can choose one, look through the specs that they come with, and see where you want to customize it. You can choose between different rear shocks, different forks. Pretty much every aspect of the bike parts-wise is adjustable to fit whatever spec that you want. Now a little more on the geometry. If we come down here, we can see it better. You can't find the geometry page without choosing your height and your riding style. Like the bike we built today, it's a frame size 2 with a headset in the long orientation and a 60mm stem. And that's where you're going to get your geometry at. 65.9 degree head angle, nice long reach, short chain stays. It's going to be a playful, fun, fast bike. Earlier, you may have heard me mention that these are a modular frame design. What that means is this revved carbon front triangle is the same carbon front triangle used across every model that they currently make. So the only thing different between this and all the other 29er models they make is going to be the rear shock length, the seat stays, and the front fork. Other than that, it can all be the same parts, which comes with the added benefit where you can have multiple bikes or multiple parts kits off of buying one bike. Let's take a look at the website and see what kind of options there are. Here we are at the main page of the website again. If we come down to the store, scroll down to where it says seat stay kits. This brings you to the page that shows you all the different seat stays and options that fit these frames. All right, now that you saw that all the different seat stay kits that you can get, you can take this bike and turn it into whatever model of Guerrilla Gravity that they make you can have. You'll need to buy the appropriate seat stay kit, the appropriate rear shock to work with that, and then depending if you're sticking with the same wheel size you already have, you may need to buy new wheels also and change the fork out. So it sounds like you still need to buy a lot of stuff, but it still ends up being a lot cheaper than buying a complete separate bike that you might only use a couple times a year. I know a lot of people do a lot of trail riding, you know, their local networks, and maybe they only go to somewhere that has really nasty trails, or they're going to go lift access, you know, go to a downhill park or something like that. And, you know, footing the bill for a complete new bike that you might only ride 3-4 times a year sounds kind of expensive. Now, obviously, all bike parts cost some money, but you can get out of it a lot cheaper by taking your modular frame, changing the parts needed, and you have a complete new bike to handle whatever it is you want to do. Add that on top of Crush and Plush or Trail and Gravity and the adjustable headsets, and this has to be one of the most adjustable platforms that I've seen. Everything that they have on their frames changes the bike in a significant way, and you're just going to have to take a ride on it, figure out if it's for you. This bike belongs to a customer. We just got it put together, got to take a look at it. So I'm not going to be able to take this one out for a ride and see exactly how much all the settings are going to change everything. I have a feeling that we're going to in the future. So let's give it a quick rundown of all the things we talked about today. We have a bike company that's running out of the USA, making carbon fiber frames in Colorado for cheaper than a lot of their competition. The bikes themselves are adjustable from them down to the part level. Every individual part can be swapped and changed to fit exactly what you want to have, be it capability or cost. The bikes themselves, you can change out a few parts and have a completely new bike, different travel, different capability level. You can change how the suspension acts. You can change the size of the frame. Pretty much everything about this bike and this company is options and adjustability to make sure you get exactly what you want. that's all we're gonna go over today. I think we've covered it all. If there's something else you want to know about, post a comment below. I'll see what I can find out for you. Thanks for joining me. Hope you tune in next time. Let's get the ride together.
Pretty good.